Hey everybody, it's me again, Randy Ray, the Literate Texan, here at Driftwood Ranch, and today I bring you my tentative Star Trek TBR for the summer of 2024. This year, I'm so honored and delighted to have been asked to co-host the Wrath of the Summer of Booktrek. And I've already made an announcement video for it. There aren't a lot of rules to participating in it, but I wanted to share with you what I plan to be reading over the summer. The event starts June 1st and lasts for 3 months. So June, July, and August, we can just binge on Star Trek fiction. Now, I also happen to be participating in some other reading events this summer, including June on the Range, which is one of my favorites. I love Westerns. And my plan is, for June anyway, is to alternate between Star Trek novels and Western novels. And I'll be putting up a Westerns TBR probably tomorrow. But today I want to talk about the Star Trek books on my list. And I've convinced, and I don't know how convinced she's going to stay after she's read some of them, Brandy at the Booktrek to read all 9 Shatnerverse novels with me. Now, I don't know what you know about the Shatnerverse or don't. It's a fan-created name for the fan fiction that was written by William Shatner, where he brings Kirk back in the 24th century. And actually, the books were mostly written by Judith Garfield Reeves-Stevens and her husband, but, and I can't remember his name. Or his name's Garfield. Yeah, Judith and Garfield Reeves-Stevens. So I don't know why that was compliment. Well, I do know what's going on. I've got chemo brain. But anyway, anyone who watches my channel is used to that by now, right? So there are basically 3 trilogies as part of the Shatnerverse series. And the first trilogy starts with a book called The Ashes of Eden. And I'm not going to go into any great detail about the plots because I don't really remember them that well because I read these when they came out. So The Ashes of Eden is set after the events of Star Trek VI, but before the events of Star Trek Generations. And it's basically Kirk's final going away. And I think there was a more official novel. I guess they're all official novels, but there was another novel that told a similar story about Kirk's last mission called The Last Roundup. But The Ashes of Eden leads into the Shatnerverse. So it's not set in the 24th century yet. And from what I recall, most of it has to do with a rivalry that Kirk has with an admiral and has had for years and years and years. We've just never heard about it. The next book in the series is The Return, and this is the true start of the Shatnerverse because this is the book where Captain Kirk is resurrected in the 24th century and gets to go on an adventure. And you know, I don't think it's a huge spoiler or a big secret that basically Captain Kirk is better at everything than anyone from the Next Generation crew. And it's very entertaining. You know, there's a series of chapters where basically Kirk faces down each individual member of the Next Generation crew and wins. And my favorite chapter is, of course, the one where he defeats Worf in hand-to-hand combat. And it makes sense from the perspective of the book. You know, he gets an advantage over Worf because, you know, anyway, I'll get into that when we talk about the specific novel. The next book, and now's where my memory's faulty, but luckily I brought my tablet with me. And I have most of these books on my Kindle Fire. I guess they don't call it a Kindle Fire anymore. I guess they just call it a Kindle. But anyway, you can see I've got a whole Star Trek folder here. The Ashes of Eden was the first one. And then there was The Return. And then the third one, well, heck, I've got it on here, but I don't remember the name of it. La-di-da, la-di-da. I'm sure you're enjoying watching me look stuff up. So, anyway, the next trilogy, I can't find it. The next trilogy is about the mirror universe. And in these 3 books, we learn that Tiberius did not get overthrown, but instead he did become emperor, but he went into hiding and joined league with the Cardassians and the other bad guys. And they've been oppressing the former Federation ever since. And so that's pretty entertaining. And then there's a third series of books. They all start with the word captain. So you've got Captain's Blood, Captain's Peril. And this trilogy has to do with Kirk and his 5-year-old son investigating the assassination of Ambassador Spock. So this was the least memorable of the series. But they're all pretty big novels. I mean, all the novels are around at least 350 pages, but most of them run into the 400 pages. They're entertaining for whatever reasons you find them entertaining, okay? So there's certainly things about these novels that I really liked. And if you're perceptive, you'll notice that some of the ideas from The Return were picked up by Terry Matalas to use in season 3 of Star Trek Picard, which is the only season worth watching anyway. So that's 9 novels, which I anticipate taking 9 weeks. So, that'll cover me quite a bit. Most of the Westerns I'm going to read are really short. But that's not all, folks. Those 9 novels are not all, okay? But I'm good. You know what? Just look in the description for the names of novels and the groupings. I'll take care of that later because they're not in that order on my tablet. So also, though, and this is interesting, Brandy has convinced me to read, and if you're not watching Brandy's channel, you should. She's absolutely delightful. So I've also got a trilogy that she recommended, and it is called Star Trek Prey, Prey, of course. And the books in this series are called Hell's Heat, The Jackal's Trap, and The Hall of Heroes. And as near as I can tell from the previews, without spoiling much, these concern, I don't know if you remember Commander Cruz, but he's one of the greatest villains of the original series movies, second only to Khan, in my opinion. He's played by the guy who played Reverend Jim on Taxi. Christopher Lloyd plays him. And he's wonderful. He's just mustache-twirling villain. He's just terrific. But my understanding is that these 3 books are about his house. He was lord of a house and has an heir. And he had a plot to take over the Klingon Empire himself and also attack the Federation that's over 100 years old. And there's a cult involved somewhere, and so I guess at either Admiral or Captain Riker, he's on the Titan. I don't know if he's been promoted to Admiral yet. And Picard back on the Enterprise are teaming up to go take care of this. But anyway, I'll show you the covers of these because they're cool. Well, let's get to it. Where'd the cover go? Come on now. All right, look at here. How beautiful is that? These were all written by John Jackson Miller, who's pretty prolific, apparently. I've been looking into the author. And he's written a Star Wars novel that I thought about reading, or that I'm planning to read, called Star Wars Kenobi, which is supposed to be excellent. I think Jonathan Cohen highly recommended it on his channel. I don't know if you follow him or not, but boy, he sure does like these science fiction novels. And I like science fiction novels too, but yeah. Okay, here's Star Trek Prey. I really like this because there's a giant devil on the cover art. So, he looks bigger than those spaceships even. So, I don't know what that's all about, but I'm looking forward to finding out. And then the last one is the Hall of Heroes, which, golly whiz. I don't know why when I open these, they don't go to the cover, but boy, there's a particularly impressive Klingon on the cover of that one, isn't there? So I'm really looking forward to reading these. I think Brandy said she might do a reread of them with me, but I'm not 100% sure I'm remembering that correctly. She's going to have her hands full with these Shatnerverse novels. Now, I also invited Steve Donahue to read the Shatnerverse novels with me, or with us, and I'm not sure he's fully committed to that idea. Although, to be fair, I did read not the Ashes of Eden, but The Price of the Phoenix and the Fate of the Phoenix with Steve last year, and a number of other books by those same authors. And let me tell you, that was something. So that's 12 Star Trek books to cover the 12 weeks of the summer. But in case I have time to read more, okay, I have more to choose from here. One of them that I'm actually really intrigued by is the City on the Edge of Forever comic book collection. Okay, so Harlan Ellison wrote the original screenplay to The City on the Edge of Forever, but then Gene Roddenberry went back in and wrote a new draft. And Ellison was very resentful of it for a long time because apparently, according to Ellison, part of their agreement was that if the script needed to be changed, they would allow him to change it. And they didn't. They just went and did it. Now, given the time frames and the scheduling and the calendars involved in putting out a weekly 1-hour science fiction TV show in 1967 or whenever, I get it. You probably didn't have time to go back to Ellison. But at any rate, they made a comic book version from the original teleplay. And this is the cover art. So you can actually see basically what the TV episode would have looked like. And the artwork is just fantastic in here. Look at this. How gorgeous is that? It's just like every page is a painting here. But, you know, given this, you could decide for yourself which one was actually better. That's my dog there. I don't know if y'all saw him or not. But so that's an option. I've also got the first couple of the Brave and Bold books. I'm really intrigued by this one because we've got Captain Decker on the cover. And I always thought Decker was pretty cool, man. And then there's some really old man who's captain in that other one. I don't know who he is even. So, but I guess I'll find out. And that's not very long. The other Brave and the Bold novel that I have is this one. And it's got Janeway and Picard on the cover. And then I don't necessarily recognize these other characters either. I know one of them's Klingon though. So, but I'm going to find out. Maybe, if I get to it. It's a lot of Star Trek for me in the summer. I should point out too, I'm probably not going to reread this, but if you haven't read the novelization of The Wrath of Khan, it's just absolutely terrific. I reread it again last year and I just loved it. Vonda McIntyre's a good writer. It would probably be more appropriate this summer to reread Vonda McIntyre's novelization of The Search for Spock. So, and I should show you the cover of some of these Shatnerverse novels. I really like this one of The Return because you can see Picard and Kirk on the cover. That's really cool. And it also says Legends Never Die. Here's the cover to The Ashes of Eden, which is really great because it doesn't have Picard on there mucking up the works. It's just straight up Captain Kirk, as it should be. And then, let's see here. What else we got here? So I think Preserver might be the third novel. I don't like the cover art on this very much. It looks really cheap. I think I could make a better Star Trek book cover than that. Just using Canva, maybe. I don't know. Then again, maybe not. Also, and I'm told these are excruciatingly long and boring, the Star Trek Eugenics War novels. I haven't read them, but there's actually 3. There's Star Trek The Eugenics War 1 and then 2, and then there's Star Trek To Reign in Hell. But these are all about, these are basically the adventures of Khan. But I understand that they have a remarkable amount of tie-ins with history. That's volume 2 rather than volume 1. This is volume 1. Great artwork on there, right? Of course, you know, how are you going to go wrong when you're that faithful to the image of Mr. Rourke? I'm trying to remember these names. Ricardo Montalban. I'm sorry. I'm really trying, man. So I've got some other books too. I'm almost certainly going to read this one. It's a short book, and I talked about it before. It's Shatner Quake, and I'm really excited about it because it's a lot of fun. I haven't read it in several years, but it just made me laugh and laugh and laugh. So anyway, I got to show you the cover of this because I think even the cover is absolutely hysterical. And I've recapped some of the plot before, but the upshot is that the Bruce Campbell fans are like enemies of the William Shatner fans. So they're having a Bruce Campbell convention next door to the William Shatner convention, ShatnerCon, which I think is terrific. So, but anyway, they blow up a reality bomb, which sucks all of the fictional characters that William Shatner's played on various TV shows and movies into the Shatner convention. And then they're all going to fight to determine who's going to be the one true Shatner. So you've got, characters like the TV series Kirk, the movie Kirk, and Denny Crane battling it out. It's just fantastic, man. TJ Hooker's in it too. So and who knows who's going to wind up to be the last Shatner standing, right? So anyway, I got a whole mess of Star Trek books on my Kindle Fire, more than you would think, because I don't read them that much. But I've got all summer to read them now, and I'm pretty stoked about them. What else have I got on here? So I've got this one I'm actually looking forward to. This is Star Trek Titan, and I think this is the first novel in the Titan series. The Titan is the ship that Riker commands after he finally takes a captaincy and leaves the Enterprise. So that looks like it might be fun. Although they're bound to introduce a lot of new characters for me to keep up with, aren't they? So yeah, and I've got the 50-Year Mission, the first 25 years. This is a nonfiction book about Star Trek, so that might be fun to read. And then I've got the 50-Year Mission, the next 25 years. Also, probably a lot of fun to read, And it probably covers everything before this whole mess that they've got going on now with the Kelvin verse and all the prequels. Star Trek Discovery's just awful. Picard was terrible for 2 seasons, and the 3rd season barely made up for it. And then, although I did enjoy the 3rd season, it was good to finally get that reunion that everybody wanted. But then the only good one is Strange New Worlds, which is terrific. But as my friend Steve points out, they're not even fan fiction, most of these things. They're like spite fiction, because the creators obviously don't care what's gone before or what the actual built-in fan base is going to think of this stuff. So anyway, I might give Star Trek New Frontier another try. Although when I read it before, I got about 5% in, and it seemed a little juvenile to me. I don't know. I liked Peter David when I was younger. So like I say, I might give that another shot. I don't think anybody cares about the New Frontier anymore. But that's my tentative TBR for the summer of the Wrath of Tech. That's my Star Trek TBR for 2024. If you've got any suggestions for books that I might like that are Star Trek books, maybe leave that in the comments for me. And if you've read any of these already and you want to warn me away from them, leave that in the comments too. I'm probably still going to read it, but I don't know. Reading time is precious too, so we'll see. But thanks for watching. Stay sexy out there, and I will be back with a video of westerns for my Western TBR very soon. Bye now.